The air over King's Landing was thick with smoke and fire. The Red Keep was almost destroyed, and the city was in chaos. Daenerys Targaryen, sitting atop Drogon, had just finished her attack. The people of King's Landing screamed, running through burning streets. Jon Snow, standing on a hill with his sword, saw the horror. He knew he had to act fast. Jon had always loved Daenerys. Even when she became obsessed with power, he hoped to save her. Seeing her destroy the city, he realized words might not work. He had to reach her before she hurt more people. He mounted his horse and rode through the chaos, dodging fallen soldiers and fires. Inside the Red Keep, Daenerys dismounted. Her face was pale but fierce, her eyes burning with anger and sadness. She wanted the throne more than anything. Jon entered the courtyard quietly, his heart heavy. "Daenerys," he called. She turned sharply. Her eyes were wild. "You should stay away, Jon Snow," she said. "This is the only way. The world will kneel before me." Jon shook his head. "No, Dany, this is not the way. You are not a monster. You don't have to burn everyone to take what's yours." Daenerys laughed bitterly. "You think you can stop me? I'm the rightful queen. Fire and blood are my birthright." Jon stepped closer, keeping his hands open, trying to show he meant no harm. "I am not your enemy. I love you, Dany. Let me help you." For a moment she hesitated. Her chest heaved. Memories of her father, her brother Rhaegar, and her lost child flashed in her mind. Pain mixed with anger. She was alone in her grief, and that loneliness had led her down a dark path. Jon's words reached her heart. Jon slowly walked toward her. "We can do this together. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to destroy everything to rule. You can be a queen who saves, not burns." Tears came to her eyes. She looked at Jon, seeing honesty in his face. For the first time in days, the fire in her eyes softened. I don't know if I can control it," she whispered. "You can," Jon said firmly. "I believe in you. You are stronger than this darkness." Suddenly, a distant shout broke the moment. Tyrion Lannister appeared, hands raised. "Your Grace, the soldiers are regrouping. You must leave now, or they will kill you." Daenerys looked at Jon. Her mind raced. Part of her wanted revenge, but part of her wanted Jon's approval, his love. She took a deep breath. I will try," Jon nodded. "We will leave the city together. We will find a new way to rule, one that doesn't hurt the innocent." Drogon appeared overhead, his wings casting a shadow over the courtyard. Daenerys called to him, but instead of raging, she spoke softly. "Drogon, we go home." The dragon roared but obeyed, sensing her calm. Together, Jon and Daenerys mounted their dragons. Tyrion joined them, and they flew away from the ruined city. From above, Daenerys saw the destruction she caused. She felt guilt and sadness. Jon held her hand tightly. "We will make it right," he said. As they flew toward Dragonstone, Daenerys began to cry. "I wanted to be a queen the world would remember, but I almost became a monster." "You are not a monster," Jon whispered. "You are human, and humans make mistakes. What matters is what you do next." For the first time in weeks, hope returned. Daenerys knew Jon was right. She could still be the queen she dreamed of, but in a different way. She could save, not destroy. And so, as the sun set behind Dragonstone, a new path began. Jon had saved Daenerys from madness, but the real challenge was ahead, rebuilding the world and proving that power could be gentle, not cruel. The flight back to Dragonstone was quiet. Drogon's wings beat steadily through the sky, carrying Daenerys, Jon, and Tyrion far from the smouldering ruins of King's Landing. Daenerys sat deep in thought, her mind heavy with guilt. Jon could feel her pain, and though he wanted to comfort her, he knew words alone were not enough. She needed action, a way to make amends. When they landed on Dragonstone, the sea crashed against the cliffs below. The castle had survived the battles, and it offered a sanctuary for the weary travelers. Jon dismounted first, looking back at Daenerys. "The people need to see that you have changed," he said. "You cannot hide here forever." Daenerys nodded, her long silver hair catching the sunlight. "I know," she admitted, "but where do I even begin? I have caused so much death. How can I undo that?" Tyrion, always quick with advice, stepped forward. "The first step is honesty. Admit your mistakes. Apologize. You cannot erase the past, but you can show that you are different now." Jon placed a hand on her shoulder. "I will help you. Together we will go to the north first. The people there do not trust you. But if we approach them with sincerity, they may give us a chance." Daenerys' face hardened with determination. "The north, yes. I need to face them. I need to prove I am more than fire and anger." A few days later, they sailed north. The journey was tense, but Jon remained calm. He knew Daenerys' presence would be dangerous at first, and he wanted to guide her through the delicate politics of the north. When they arrived, Sansa Stark was waiting at the gates of Winterfell. Her eyes narrowed at the sight of Daenerys. "You come here after burning King's Landing and expect what?" Sansa demanded. "Forgiveness?" Daenerys stepped forward, her voice steady but humble. "No, Lady Stark, I do not expect forgiveness. I come to take responsibility for my actions. I want to help rebuild what I have broken." Sansa studied her carefully. Jon spoke next, his voice firm. "The people of Westeros need hope, not destruction. Daenerys has realized her mistakes. She will not repeat them. I ask you to give her a chance." Sansa hesitated. She had seen the destruction firsthand, and it was difficult to trust a Targaryen again. But she noticed something different in Daenerys' eyes, a real sorrow, not just regret. "Very well," Sansa said finally. "You may stay. But know this, the North will not bow to a queen who brings fear. Actions matter more than words." Over the next few weeks, Daenerys worked tirelessly. She helped the people rebuild homes, shared food with the starving, and even helped clear debris from the streets. She visited villages that had been affected by her fire, listening to their stories, offering apologies, and sometimes tears. Her presence was not easy for the northern people to accept, but gradually respect began to replace fear. Jon watched her closely. Every act of kindness strengthened her resolve, and every moment of humility brought her closer to the people's hearts. He realized that saving her from madness was only the beginning. She had to save herself through courage, patience, and compassion. One evening, Jon and Daenerys stood on the walls of Winterfell, looking out over the snow-covered land. The wind was sharp, but it felt clean, almost like a new beginning. "You have changed, Dany," Jon said quietly. "I see it in you. You are no longer the queen who would burn the world. You are a queen who can inspire it." Daenerys leaned against him. "I want to be that queen, Jon, but it is not easy. Every day I feel the weight of what I have done. Sometimes I fear I cannot make it right." Jon took her hand. "You can, and you will. The people of Westeros need leaders who learn from their mistakes, not rulers who are afraid of them. You are capable of more than vengeance. You are capable of hope." As winter deepened, news arrived of Cersei Lannister. She had fortified King's Landing and continued her cruel reign, believing the city still safe from Targaryens. Tyrion suggested sending messages, offering her a chance to surrender peacefully. Daenerys hesitated at first, but Jon convinced her. "If we act with mercy, we show that our way is different. We do not need to destroy to win." The letters were sent, carried by ravens, inviting Cersei to surrender in exchange for safety for the citizens. Days passed without a reply, and the tension grew. Yet Daenerys remained calm. She no longer craved revenge. Her desire was to protect the innocent, not to destroy the guilty. Jon and Daenerys spent nights discussing strategy, balancing mercy with caution. Slowly, Daenerys' leadership style evolved. She learned to listen, to plan, and to act with wisdom. The people of the North began to see her as a partner, not a conqueror. And so a new chapter began for Daenerys Targaryen. She had faced her darkest impulses, confronted her anger, and chosen a path of redemption. With Jon by her side, she was no longer the dragon who burned cities. She was the queen who could lead Westeros into a new era, an era of hope, compassion, and unity. Winter in the north was harsh, but it had given Daenerys time to reflect, to grow, and to change. She no longer sought vengeance. Her fire, once uncontrollable, was now tempered by wisdom and compassion. Jon Snow watched her carefully. He could see the difference in her. She no longer ruled with anger, but with purpose. News from King's Landing arrived. Cersei Lannister had not surrendered. Her armies were ready, and she had tightened her hold on the city. The people inside still suffered under her rule, but she had convinced herself that no Targaryen would dare approach. Tyrion read the reports aloud during strategy meetings. She believes herself untouchable, but she underestimates Daenerys, and she underestimates Jon Snow. Daenerys looked out the window toward the horizon, where the faint smoke from King's Landing still rose. "I do not want to burn the city," she said. "I want to save it. The people inside are innocent. If we can end this without bloodshed, we must," Jon nodded. "Mercy is stronger than fire, Dany. You have learned that. Now we must show it to the world." They began their journey south, not with armies ready to attack, but with small forces designed to protect and defend, not conquer. Word spread quickly. Daenerys Targaryen was returning, not as a vengeful dragon, but as a queen seeking peace. Many lords who had feared her fire now felt hope. The closer they got to King's Landing, the more cautious Daenerys became. She rode Drogon with care, keeping the dragon above the city, not striking. Tyrion had warned her about spies and potential ambushes, but Daenerys' heart remained firm. She would not repeat her mistakes. Upon reaching the outskirts of the city, Jon and Daenerys sent envoys once again, this time carrying a personal message for Cersei. It was not a threat. It was an offer. Surrender the city peacefully, and the lives of the citizens would be spared. Cersei's response was, as expected, cold and dismissive. She refused to leave, believing her walls would protect her. Daenerys felt the familiar pull of anger. For a moment, the old fire stirred inside her, but she looked at Jon, standing beside her, unwavering. His presence reminded her of who she had become. She took a deep breath and controlled her impulse. "We will not strike first," she whispered. "We lead with mercy, Jon. This is the way," Tyrion suggested a bold plan. "We cannot just wait. We need a demonstration of power, but not destruction. Show the city we are stronger, but without hurting them. Perhaps a show of force from above, with Drogon visible but restrained," Daenerys agreed. She flew Drogon high above the city walls, letting the citizens and soldiers see her might. She did not attack. She circled, wings casting shadows, a reminder that power could be formidable without cruelty. Rumors spread fast through King's Landing. The Dragon Queen had returned, but she did not bring fire this time. She brought hope. Inside the Red Keep, Cersei paced nervously. Her advisors whispered of rebellion and possible betrayal. Many feared Daenerys, yet none dared defy her openly. For the first time, Cersei realized that the Targaryen who had once burned cities was now a queen of mercy. The irony stung. Meanwhile, Daenerys began sending small teams into the city to assist the people, delivering food, helping the sick, and clearing rubble. Citizens began to whisper. Perhaps the Targaryen queen had changed. Perhaps she truly wanted to save them. Jon, ever cautious, monitored the city's response. "We must prepare for Cersei's stubbornness," he told Daenerys. "She may resist, but we must show restraint. Lead with compassion, not fire." Over the following days, tensions grew. Some soldiers inside King's Landing defected, refusing to fight a queen who sought peace. Others fortified positions, awaiting orders from Cersei. Yet Daenerys did not waver. Every act of kindness, every gesture of mercy, slowly turned hearts. One evening, Daenerys landed near the Red Keep, stepping forward alone with Jon at her side. She spoke to the gates in a clear voice, addressing not just the soldiers, but the people. "I am Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen. I come not to destroy, but to protect. You have suffered under war and cruelty. I offer you safety. Surrender peacefully, and we will rebuild together." For a tense moment, there was silence. Then from within, a single voice shouted, "And what of Cersei? Will she be punished?" Daenerys looked directly at the gates. "Justice will be served, but the innocent will not suffer. We are not here to harm those who have no part in cruelty." Inside the city, fear and hope collided. Soldiers hesitated, some lowering their weapons. Citizens peeked from windows, unsure if they should rejoice or flee. Cersei, watching from the Red Keep, clenched her fists. She realized that she might have underestimated Daenerys' transformation. Jon touched her arm gently. "This is your moment, Dany. Lead with your heart, and the city will follow." Daenerys nodded, her resolve stronger than ever. She was no longer the dragon who burned without thought. She was the queen who could save lives, win hearts, and inspire loyalty. And so, on the walls of King's Landing, a new chapter began. Daenerys Targaryen faced her greatest challenge yet, not with fire, but with mercy and courage, determined to prove that a queen's strength came not from destruction, but from hope. The streets of King's Landing were tense, filled with whispers and uncertainty. Word had spread quickly. Daenerys Targaryen had returned, but this time she came not as a destroyer, but as a savior. Civilians cautiously left their homes, curious to see if the rumors were true. Soldiers still guarded the city walls, but hesitation had replaced blind obedience. Inside the Red Keep, Cersei paced back and forth, her mind a storm. "She dares to come without burning the city?" she hissed. "She has no fear, no mercy. That is far worse than fire. It unsettles loyalty. It undermines power." Her advisors tried to calm her, but the truth was clear. Daenerys' approach was winning hearts faster than armies ever could. Daenerys, meanwhile, moved through the outer districts of the city with Jon and Tyrion, personally overseeing relief efforts. She distributed food to the hungry, healed the sick with the help of maesters, and spoke to people directly. Every kind word, every compassionate act strengthened her connection with the citizens. Word of the Dragon Queen's mercy spread quickly. People whispered her name in hope instead of fear. Jon watched quietly from her side. "You have changed the game, Dany," he said. "No swords, no fire. Yet you are stronger than any army." Daenerys smiled faintly. "I've learned, Jon, power is not proving how strong I am. It is proving how much good I can do." Tyrion nodded approvingly. "And mercy is far more persuasive than fear. People remember kindness longer than pain." The first cracks in Cersei's defense began to show. Soldiers refused to obey her cruelest orders, preferring to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Some opened the gates secretly, allowing food and supplies to reach the people. Nobles who had once pledged loyalty to Cersei began quietly communicating with Tyrion, seeking terms for surrender. Cersei, furious and paranoid, summoned Qyburn. "We need a plan. We cannot allow this redemption to succeed. She will look strong while we crumble from within." Qyburn suggested a traditional siege, but Cersei hesitated. Attacking would risk alienating the population further, her advisors argued. The city was divided, and morale was fragile. Cersei realized that Daenerys' approach had turned the people against her, and no weapon could undo that. Meanwhile, Daenerys convened a council inside the city walls, meeting with northern leaders, former Lannister loyalists, and advisors from Dragonstone. Her voice was calm but authoritative. "We are not here to punish the innocent. We are here to rebuild Westeros together. Violence will only create new cycles of hatred. We must act with fairness and justice." Jon stood beside her. "The people need proof that we will protect them. Show them that we do not rule with fear, but with respect." Together they implemented small acts of reform. Tax relief was given to those who suffered under Cersei's rule. Homes and shops destroyed in past skirmishes were repaired. Markets reopened and streets cleared of debris. Slowly, the citizens began to see that this was different from any ruler they had known. Cersei, realizing her hold slipping, grew desperate. She made a final attempt to rally the soldiers, promising wealth and titles to those who would fight. But the loyalty of her army was fragile. Many refused, secretly aiding Daenerys and Jon. Some soldiers even left the city, fearful of a fight that now seemed unjust. One day, Daenerys sent a message to Cersei, asking for a private meeting in the Great Hall. Jon supported this decision. "Confront her, Dany, but not with rage. Show strength through composure and reason." Inside the Great Hall, Cersei sat on the Iron Throne, her usual arrogance tempered by unease. "So you come to negotiate?" she sneered. Daenerys stepped forward, calm and steady. "I come to end suffering, Cersei. Surrender peacefully, and your people will be safe. No one else must die. That is the way forward." Cersei's lips twisted. "You speak of mercy, yet you could burn me in an instant. How is that different from fear?" Daenerys' gaze was unwavering. "Because I choose not to. Power is proving that I can restrain myself. That is true strength. Mercy is the mark of a ruler who inspires loyalty, not fear." For the first time, Cersei hesitated. She saw the sincerity in Daenerys' eyes, the loyalty she inspired, and the shifting hearts of the people. She realized that she had underestimated the Dragon Queen's transformation. Finally, with reluctance, Cersei agreed to leave the city peacefully, taking only what she could carry. Guards and soldiers who remained loyal to her were allowed safe passage under the condition that the citizens would not be harmed. The people of King's Landing celebrated cautiously at first. Slowly, they realized that the dragon had not come to destroy, but to save. They saw a queen who valued their lives, and their hope grew. Daenerys and Jon stood together on the city walls, looking over the streets. "We did it without a single needless death," Jon said softly. Daenerys nodded, her silver hair catching the sunlight. "I have learned that true power is not fear, but trust. The people follow when they believe, not when they tremble." Tyrion smiled, proud of his queen. "And you have proven it, Dany. Westeros is beginning to see a different kind of Targaryen, one who rules with wisdom and compassion." As the sun set over King's Landing, the city that had once burned with fire now glowed with hope. Daenerys Targaryen, with Jon Snow by her side, had begun a new era, an era not of blood but of unity and healing. The streets of King's Landing were alive with cautious optimism. The once feared Dragon Queen had become a symbol of hope. Daenerys moved through the city daily, ensuring that food reached every district, schools reopened, and homes were repaired. Jon Snow followed closely, advising her on logistics and security, but more importantly, supporting her leadership. The North had sent letters praising her restraint and mercy, slowly restoring her reputation across Westeros. Lords who had once doubted her now sent envoys, offering alliances rather than resistance. Even loyalists to House Lannister, inspired by the way she treated the people, pledged their loyalty, not out of fear, but respect. Daenerys knew, however, that rebuilding Westeros would require more than acts of kindness. She needed a system that would prevent future cruelty and ensure fairness. She called together her council, including Tyrion, Jon, Sansa, and Davos. "We cannot rely solely on dragons or armies," Daenerys said. "Power without justice creates tyranny. We must establish laws, fair trials, and local governance that protects the people. No ruler should ever have unchecked power." Tyrion nodded. "Agreed. Westeros has seen kings and queens rule with fear. We need a system that respects the voice of the people, even if it is small at first." Sansa, still cautious but trusting Daenerys' intentions, suggested starting with the North. "We can lead by example. If other regions see the North thriving under fair rule, they may follow willingly." Daenerys smiled. "Then we begin here. And slowly, we extend these reforms to the South. Justice, mercy, and equality must spread, one step at a time." Jon, ever practical, added, "We also need to secure the realm against external threats. There may be lords who resent change, or outsiders who take advantage of our efforts. We must protect the people while we rebuild." The first major challenge arose when small bands of former loyalists to Cersei began stirring unrest in the countryside. They spread rumors that Daenerys had only spared the city to trick the people and would eventually strike again. Some villages resisted the new governance, fearing the return of dragons and fire. Daenerys, Jon, and Tyrion responded carefully. Instead of punishing the villages harshly, they sent teams of advisors, builders, and teachers to work directly with the villagers. They explained the new system, offered protection, and provided resources to rebuild their homes. Slowly the resistance melted away. People began to see that this queen ruled differently. Daenerys also traveled personally to villages affected by past wars. She listened to grievances, acknowledged mistakes, and promised fair treatment. People were amazed to see a queen who not only ruled but worked alongside them. Dragons still flew overhead, but now they were symbols of protection, not terror. Meanwhile, Jon worked on strengthening alliances with the North, the Vale, and the Riverlands. His reputation as a fair and honorable leader helped Daenerys gain acceptance among wary lords. Together, they negotiated treaties, ensuring that loyalty was earned through fairness, not fear. One evening, Jon and Daenerys walked along the walls of King's Landing, looking out over the city. The sun was setting, painting the streets gold. "It feels different now," Daenerys said softly. "Not like conquering, but like leading." "I never knew power could feel like this," Jon smiled. "It is easier to rule when people trust you. Fear is temporary, but respect lasts generations. You have learned that, Dany, and you inspire it in others." Daenerys leaned against him, her hand brushing his. "I'm grateful you never gave up on me. Without you, I might have gone back to that path." "You saved yourself, Dany," Jon replied. "I just helped guide you. But the choice was always yours." Tyrion, joining them with papers in hand, interrupted gently. "Your Grace, letters are arriving from across Westeros. Lords in the Stormlands, Dorne, and the Riverlands are asking for meetings. They wish to join your council peacefully, recognizing your reforms. This is your opportunity to unify the realm without war." Daenerys' eyes lit up. "Then we must take it. Westeros will not be ruled by fear or vengeance. It will be ruled by justice, mercy, and unity. Together, we can prevent the cycle of bloodshed that has plagued this land for centuries." In the coming weeks, Daenerys and Jon traveled across Westeros, meeting with lords and leaders, building alliances and offering fair treaties. They established a council representing all major regions, ensuring that decisions were made collaboratively rather than by decree. The citizens of King's Landing and beyond began to see the results. Markets thrived, villages were rebuilt, and education programs were introduced. Former soldiers found new roles in maintaining peace, and the dragons, once feared as instruments of war, became protectors of the realm. For the first time in generations, Westeros felt hope. The people saw that a Targaryen could rule with wisdom. The dragons could inspire awe without destruction, and that love and mercy were stronger than fire and blood. And through it all, Jon and Daenerys stood together, not as conquerors, but as partners, guiding Westeros toward a future built on trust, justice, and compassion. Winter had passed, and spring spread across Westeros like a promise of renewal. The cities and villages, once scarred by war, now bore signs of recovery. King's Landing, once a symbol of fire and destruction, had transformed into a bustling city of trade, learning, and hope. Daenerys Targaryen walked through the streets with Jon Snow, observing the changes firsthand. Children played in the courtyards, and merchants sold goods freely without fear. Citizens waved as the Queen passed, some still cautious, but many greeted her with genuine smiles. Daenerys felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had arrived in King's Landing as a conqueror in spirit, but she was leaving as a leader who earned loyalty through compassion and justice. Jon watched her, quietly proud. "You have done something no Targaryen has done in generations," he said. "You ruled with mercy. You didn't just survive your mistakes, you changed them into strength." Daenerys smiled, the weight of past guilt finally lifting. "It was not easy. Every step required me to fight myself, to resist the fire inside. But with you by my side, I found the path forward." Tyrion joined them, carrying reports from across Westeros. "Your Grace, the Lords of Dorne, the Riverlands, and the Stormlands have all pledged their allegiance to your council. They see that this is not a queen who rules by fear, but by justice. Even some former Lannister allies have joined willingly." Daenerys nodded thoughtfully. "Then the realm can finally be united, not under a single tyrant, but under a system that values every voice. We can end the cycle of bloodshed." Jon looked out over the city walls. "And the people will follow. When they see fairness and compassion, loyalty comes naturally. Fear is temporary, respect lasts forever." The final challenge, however, was not political. Some still whispered that Daenerys was dangerous, that her dragons could not be controlled, and that her lineage carried the risk of madness. To prove herself, Daenerys decided to demonstrate restraint and responsibility with her dragons. Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion soared above the city, but they were not weapons, they were guardians. She allowed the citizens to see them flying freely, a symbol of power tempered by wisdom. One day, Jon and Daenerys visited a small village on the outskirts of King's Landing, where survivors of past conflicts still lived in fear. Daenerys knelt before them, speaking directly to the villagers. "I have wronged your people before, and for that I am sorry. I promise you, from now on, my dragons will protect, not destroy. Your safety is my responsibility." The villagers, moved by her sincerity, slowly approached. Children touched the edges of her cloak, and elders nodded in acceptance. Daenerys' heart swelled with relief. She realized that true leadership was not about power, it was about service. Meanwhile, Jon worked tirelessly to strengthen communication between the regions. He established a network of representatives from the North, Vale, Riverlands, and other territories. Decisions were now made collectively, with input from all regions, ensuring fairness and preventing abuse of power. As weeks turned into months, the final holdouts who doubted Daenerys' intentions began to relent. Soldiers who had once served Cersei laid down their arms willingly, inspired by her mercy and the unity she was building. Former enemies became allies, realizing that the new Westeros offered security and hope, not tyranny. One evening, Jon and Daenerys stood atop the Red Keep's walls, looking out over the city. The sun dipped low, casting golden light over the streets below. "We've done it," Jon said softly. "The city, the realm, they finally believe in something better." Daenerys placed her hand over his. "It was never just about winning, Jon. It was about showing that we can rise above our worst instincts. That even dragons can be tamed, not in body but in spirit." Tyrion approached with a smile. "The council has agreed. We will formalize a system of governance that protects the people, ensures justice, and allows the realm to prosper. Westeros will finally have a chance to thrive, not just survive." Daenerys felt a warmth she had never known before. It was not power or fire, it was peace, earned through wisdom, compassion, and love. Jon squeezed her hand, and together they looked out over the city. The dragons landed nearby, their massive wings folding carefully. Drogon nudged Daenerys gently, a reminder that while power remained, it could be controlled. She looked into his eyes and saw trust, not fear, a reflection of how far she had come. That night, the stars shone brighter than ever. Daenerys Targaryen, once consumed by vengeance and fire, had saved not only herself, but the people of Westeros. Jon Snow, ever steadfast, had helped guide her along the path of mercy and wisdom. Together, they had forged a realm where hope triumphed over fear and compassion ruled over cruelty. Westeros, scarred but alive, began a new era. A queen who had almost lost herself now stood as a symbol of redemption. A kingdom that had endured centuries of bloodshed now had a chance to flourish under leaders who chose love over power, mercy over fire, and unity over division. And so, as the first rays of dawn lit the towers of King's Landing, Jon and Daenerys looked toward the horizon, ready to lead Westeros into a future shaped not by destruction, but by hope, justice, and the promise of a better world. The cycle of fire and blood had ended. A new dawn had begun.